I'm Holly Joe, here with Greg.
Hi, Holly. Thanks for joining me.
Greg, so you have a free offer, right?
Yeah, I have a free offer. For years as a solo lawyer, I was outgunned by the state, and so I'm working to level the playing field.
Greg, I know you're passionate about this. How do you level the playing field?
The way we level the playing field for lawyers and criminal defense lawyers is by making them stronger, which means that they make more money, they have more resources, and so then they can really bring the fight to the prosecution.
I like that. What's your special offer?
If you're a law firm owner and you want to increase revenue, then you can join a free session with me and learn how I did it.
Wow, Greg, what is that worth?
The normal rate for that would be $775. The value of it is much greater than that. The value may be worth $5,000. There may be $5,000 worth of information just in that one session.
So how do you sign up?
If you're interested in doing the free offer, all you have to do is go to prosperatlaw.com. That's prosperatlaw.com, and there's a button on there, schedule a call with me. Or you can text the words solution to me at 843-602-5480, and I'll set up the session for you.
So that's a free session with no obligation.
Absolutely. It's just free help. I'm not trying to sell you anything. In fact, even if you wanted to sign up, I wouldn't let you do it on that call. It's just a session to help you so I can show you how I solve some of these problems.
Wow, that sounds great. I would definitely do that. You are listening to the Prosper Law Podcast. Learn how to reduce stress, have more time, and make more money. Come on in.
I'm Greg McCollum, and I built a 7-figure criminal defense law firm. I formed Prosper Law to show criminal defense law firm owners who are desperate for success how to grow from under $200,000 to $1 million and beyond. Hi, Greg McCollum here with another edition of Prosper Law Podcast. Today's topic, one of the things I want to talk about is, do you chase money? And by that, I mean if you have a criminal defense law practice, you're a solo criminal defense lawyer, or you have a small law firm, and it can be an uncertain kind of stressful grind to find clients and to get money. And for years, I chased money, and I'll give you some examples of some of the things that I did. And I don't know if you do that or not. The kind of the irony in it is that I thought I was doing what I should do. I thought if I went and took a used car for a payment, or somebody was going to give me a Harley because they didn't have the money in the bank to hire me, that I thought that was smart. I thought that's what you had to do. And interestingly, now I don't do it anymore. And I had forgotten that I used to do it. And it rarely comes up in our law firm where somebody is offering that. And what I was doing, I think at the time, is that because I didn't have marketing, I didn't have sales, I didn't have a reliable, predictable income stream. I was sitting around, and somebody called me, I was so excited. So if I were not in the office and somebody called my office and said, I want to meet with Greg, I've been arrested and charged with this, then what would happen is my staff, my secretary, my paralegal, my receptionist would say, okay, get their number and call me. And whatever I was doing, whether I was, coaching my daughter's soccer team, or whether I was on vacation, or whether I was trying to say I'm a runner, so whether I was running, whether I was at the grocery store, at the dry cleaner, at home trying to eat lunch, or in a restaurant eating lunch, wherever I was, when I got that phone call, I took down the number, they texted me the number, and I was like, okay, I'll call them right now. So I stopped everything I'm doing to call them. And why did I do that? Well, one, I knew that, I guess just instinctively, that don't make them wait, which is good. We don't make you wait when you contact our law firm. We have somebody that's going to help you immediately. So that's important. And I was hustling for business. And so I would call them back, talk to them. I would set the fee in my head. Usually I'd set the fee while I was talking to them, trying to assess them and their ability to pay, and also what the case should cost. And that was all very inconsistent because I didn't have a fee schedule. And so I'm on the phone with them, and then what are we going to do? Well, I'm going to talk to them for a little while. They're not going to hire me over the phone, although now in my law firm that happens every day, that somebody hires us over the phone without even meeting with us. And that's just because of the system we have set up. And I was always taught, too, that you had to meet with people. And if you represent somebody, you do have to, pretty much, you need to meet with them at some point, though there are exceptions of clients that I represented from out of town where we handled their case and we talked on the phone and we never actually met. But the thought process is that, okay, when can you come to the office? When can I meet with you? And then so if they're asking, well, what's it going to cost? And a lot of these people, they were regular in court kind of people. They were people who had a criminal record. Maybe they had been to prison, maybe not. Maybe they had been on probation a couple of times. So they were, they were on the criminal docket. And so now they got arrested again. They need a lawyer. So I'm talking to them. They got a drug case or something. And so I'm saying, and we're talking, and I'm saying, well, we'd probably charge you $10,000 for that, or maybe $7,500, and then we'd have a conversation, and the person says, well, I've got $6,000. Do you want to meet with me? Well, the answer was always yes. I want to meet with you, because in my mind it was found money. It was something that I better drop what I'm doing and go meet with them. So then I may leave lunch if they're ready to go now, or I may meet with them after hours. I may meet with them at 6 o'clock. They may not be able to come in during a weekday. So can you meet with me on Saturday morning? So I'd go meet with them on Saturday morning. And if you've done that, you know what that's like, because they may show up and they may not. Some do, some don't. All right, and for different reasons. And the other thing that would happen is if I said, well, we charge $10,000 for that, and that was just kind of a random fee that I would just kind of spit out because I kind of thought that's what other people were charging, or that's what it was worth, or maybe they said on the phone, well, I talked to so-and-so lawyer and he said it's $15,000, but I've only got $10,000. And then we have the conversation, do you have $10,000? Yeah, I got $10,000. And then they say something like, well, really, I just got $9,000. And if you've done this, it's true, because then it's like, so you got $9,000? Yeah, you got $9,000. Okay, well, meet me at this time and come into the office whenever. I'm scrambling, running around. And so then they come in with $9,000, but it's not $9,000, it's $7,800. Okay. So now I have to decide, and am I going to take $7,800 because it was $10,000, but then it was $9,000, but then something happened and they got $7,800. Okay. So now I have to make a decision. Am I going to let $7,800 in cash walk out of my office so that they can then go get some more money from somebody somehow, or not? And the idea is, well, no, they're just going to go to another law firm and give somebody $7,800 because I was a good lawyer, but I didn't really stand out as having like a unique value position, USP, whatever it's called. So I was a commodity. I was one of 3 or 4 or 5 lawyers, and most of us could get the job done in their mind. Now, there were people that were, former clients or people that had helped, or they had a really good, strong recommendation and referral. So they wanted me if we could get the fee. So now, and this just occurred to me the other day. Now, we have our daily our weekly revenue goal up on the whiteboard, and so as I go in the office and see it, or I'm meeting with my office manager, I get an update. And at the end of the beginning of the next week, I get a report that shows this is what we hit, this is where we are. Do we meet our goal or not? But money comes in every day, and that's consistent, and it's been consistent for years because I have a marketing system, I have an intake team, I have a process. Even when we had a credit card reader, and I would meet with people. I was meeting with them. I was telling them about their case. I was jumping into their case and talking about the strategy. I might be in the meeting with them for an hour and a half. Then they're giving me the credit card, and then I'm physically running it myself. Maybe my staff went home. My small staff went home, so I'm trying to figure out how to run it, and I'm doing all that myself while they wait. It's very cumbersome. And then the other idea is, because I asked myself this, and I think something came up about if we would do something for somebody, and I was talking to one of my team members, and we were just going through it. So a couple of things jump out here is, why was I chasing money? The reason I was chasing money is because I didn't have cash flow. And a business that doesn't make any money doesn't go anywhere. A business that cannot pay its bills is not a successful business. A business that brings in money solves problems. Now, money won't make you happy. If you're unhappy and you have money, you'll still be unhappy. Money is not anything but a tool, but money solves problems. So now, because we have a regular stream and predictable stream of cash flow coming in, and I say cash or cash flow, I don't know the exact number, but probably well over 90% of all of our legal fees now come in on some kind of credit card or debit card. And that's another thing as well. But very rarely does anybody ever pay in cash. And a lot of that, there are a lot of reasons for that. Some of it is because the clients that we represent now, they have a job, they have a bank account, they have many of them own businesses, they got credit lines and that sort of thing. Some people want to write a check. We take checks. We're happy to get a check because we don't have to pay that 2 or 3% on the credit card fees. So, but very rarely do people pay cash. But sometimes they do, but that doesn't really matter. So money solves the problem. So let's say before, when a client would get mad for whatever reason and fire us and demand a refund, it created a major problem. Because if somebody just paid us $10,000 or $15,000 or $5,000 or $20,000 and they're mad and they want to switch lawyers and they want a refund, it was a total crisis. Now, because we have predictable money coming in, because we know if we give them their money back, there's somebody waiting in line behind them to hire us. And so if that happens, and it doesn't happen much, but in the past when it happened, it was a tragic event. And it would take up all my time and energy and talking to them and trying to resolve it. Sometimes it would end in a fee dispute. And I'm embarrassed to say, but sometimes I'd have a fee dispute just because I didn't have the money to give them. And so I've got to, at least the fee dispute would prolong it enough so that I could refund them. So now, if a client fires us, we have a short meeting, and I'm going to give them a refund. I'm not going to fight that fight. I'm giving them a refund. Even though we've done work or we've done stuff, we're going to tell them that we have to get off the case. So they have to sign a consent order relieving us of counsel. And for refunds, I've learned that if they paid on a credit card, I'm not going to refund them with a check. And I've done that, and then they disputed the credit card bill. So let's say it's a $10,000 fee. I say, I'm sorry, here's I'm giving you money back, here's $10,000. Then they go on to contact the credit card and say, this fee's invalid, and now we got a dispute. And if you've ever had a dispute, you'll know that the credit card companies and the bank they'll just take the money out. They'll take it out in a day. They'll take it out in an hour. It's just gone. So now you've written them a check. So now not only do you have to give $10,000 back on a case that you started to work on, now you're $10,000 in the hole because of their dispute, and it's going to take work and effort to resolve that dispute. And some of the disputes we've had, which were valid, we just lost. So what's the term? We got took. It happened. Rarely ever happens anymore because we'll refund them on the credit card. And that way, if they complain to the credit card company, the credit card company sees, well, no, we've already filed this dispute. We've already taken the money back. And so that prevents me from double refunding them. But the other thing money does, obviously, if something breaks, if the computer breaks, if the phone system doesn't work anymore, there's money there to fix it. And having money also means that, you can sleep at night. You don't have to worry about that. So when I hustled for money, and before I learned how to grow and run my law firm with systems, I chased money. I hustled for money. The fees were not set. Now the fees are set. If you contact our law firm, almost anybody in the law firm, certainly people that do intake, can tell you that, oh, you've been charged with this, that's the fee. And there's no question about it. Nobody has to talk. Nobody has to huddle up. They don't have to call me. They don't have to ask me. The fee is set. That's the fee. You're charged with this. This is the fee. That's our fee. So I just took what I could get. If they started talking to me about money, which I was desperate for money, so we're having a conversation. I'm just going to take what I can get. How much can I extract from them so I can, not go broke this week? All right? That was a mindset. And I would drive to pick up money. And I've got several examples here that I had forgotten about. Like I remember one time somebody was trying to pay some money, and I can't remember how much it was, $6,000, $8,000, $12,000 or something like that. But they were coming from, I think, North Carolina. So, and they weren't going to make it back. They weren't going to get to my office till say 6:30 or 7 o'clock or something like that. So I said, well, I'll just meet you. So I get in my car and I drive out in the country, and there's this little general store there, almost like a little country truck stop where they, serve hot dogs, and they got a store and all this stuff. And I was surprised at how busy it was. So I meet them in the parking lot. I drive 45 or 50 minutes in my car, meet them in the parking lot, wait a little while. They show up. They give me a sack of money. I write them a receipt, like on a piece of paper or a business card or something, and get some information from them and shake hands, and I drive back. So now I got paid. So another time I remember I had this client, and she had been in and out of the system, and she called me because she said, Greg, I just found out there's a warrant for me, and I want to hire you because I want to turn myself in. I want to surrender. And so she was staying at this oceanfront little condo complex down, I think it was in Garden City Beach, which is just south of Myrtle Beach. And the building had these, they weren't really decks. It was more like when you went up the stairs, you walked along a long balcony to go in your door. So I'm sitting there, and I pull up. I have a Mercedes, and I'm wearing a suit. I got on a suit. I got a coat and tie on, right? And I'm sitting there, and she comes down, and we're just sitting like I'm in a parking space. And she comes down, and she's this thin, attractive black woman, and she has like the long, not dreadlocks, but like the hair that's what do you call it? Is woven, right? And so. And I know her, and I like her, and I've helped her a lot. And she's standing outside my car, and she's leaning in the window. And so here she is. She's got the long braids. She's standing there. I'm a white guy in a suit in a Mercedes with the window down. And she's leaning in the window, and handing me a stack of $100 bills, because I don't know what the fee was to surrender her back then. Maybe it's $1,000, maybe it's $1,500. I can't remember. But I can't remember if she's counting the money out, but it was clear that she's handing me a stack of hundreds. Now, she's wanted. There's a warrant for her arrest, and I'm going to go back and figure that out. So then I look up on the balcony, and there's some people up there that were, I guess, were tourists, and they're standing there staring at us, the black woman with braids standing in my car window, the white guy in a suit and a Mercedes handing me a stack of hundreds, and their mouth was agape. They were standing there like just looking at us with their mouth open, and who knows what they thought was going on. And I remember I looked up and I saw it. I said, all right, look, I enjoy talking to you, but I got to go. You need to get back inside. I got to get back to the office and call the warrants division and let them know that I represent you. We're going to surrender you because the cops are probably coming just based on that. I remember one time I had a client that was in jail. This was, I think, a drug trafficking case, and I'm trying to get paid. And I had these powers of attorney that have him sign in the jail. Then I got his house keys that I go to his house. He was renting this house. It was like $1 million house in this nice neighborhood near the beach in Myrtle Beach. And so I'm going there, driving from the jail, which is an hour, to go get his debit card. And then he's given me the passcode so I can go in his account and withdraw money. And it was like for a couple $1,000, all right? And that did not turn out well at all, okay? He accused me of mismanaging it, and later said that he didn't agree to it or something, and ended up not representing him that time. But it was a disaster, and I'm spending all that time. The other time I remember when he hired me the first time, somebody was with me, and I was supposed to go to his apartment in Myrtle Beach when he was in an apartment then, or he was at a friend's house. So I drive up. He comes out in the parking lot, hands me like a brown paper sack with money. And these are things that I did. I took vehicles. I don't know how many Harleys somebody gave me. I don't know how many golf carts people gave me. One time I had a racing bike for this guy that raced motorcycles at Daytona and places like that. Sometimes I would hold things as collateral, like that was a doctor I represented that didn't have a lot of money at the time. Gave me 2 Rolexes that I put in a safe until he paid me as collateral. So those are things that I did. I just chased money. I was desperate for money. And this, like I said, this changed for me. I kind of forgot about it and haven't thought about it in years. So, ask yourself, I don't know if I'm the only one that ever did this, but I did it for years, and it's not a profitable way to run a law firm. The way you want to run a law firm is to have systems, to have a marketing system, a marketing plan, a sales system, an intake team, processes, and repeatable, stable marketing that brings in clients every week. The other thing I started thinking about too is that, and I think I've talked about this before, but what is your daily rate? What is your hourly rate? And so then just on a cost-benefit basis, is it worth it? Okay? So if I figure out, my gross revenues, and I figure out, say just it's really about 46 weeks of productivity, but just call it 50 or 52 weeks, and then 40 hours a week working. If you just take your gross revenue and divide that, where I'm at right now, my hourly rate is $875 an hour. So then if I'm going to go out to a place at the jail or somewhere or drive somewhere, it's going to take me 3 hours at $875 an hour. In productivity is costing me a little over $2,600. So would I spend $2,600 to go get $4,000? If we were just trading money, of course I would. If I could just stand there and trade the money, because, yeah, of course. then I thought, would I send an employee to go get it? So if that employee makes $75,000 a year, their hourly rate's about $37, $38. Would I send them to do it? Yeah, I probably would, because it's cost effective. Now, the other problem you get is usually when you're doing this, many times you're dealing with cash, because otherwise they could just give us a credit card and it's done, and nobody has to go anywhere. And that's the way normal people, middle-class people, or even below middle-class people, economically speaking, or wealthy people, it's just the way they do business, because they value their time and they're not going to be walking around with cash. So when I take a fee like that, then I pretty much know that's all I'm going to get. So if they're going to give me, say $4,000 now, and the fee's supposed to be $8,000, and they have to pay it in cash, and then there's no real payment plan because we can't get a credit card from them or a debit card which comes out every month. Okay, because generally when people give that to you, they've signed an agreement, they've agreed to it, and those payments are going to go through. They don't always go through, but generally speaking, your success rate on that is much higher, as opposed to somebody somehow scraped together enough cash to get you started, and then whether they mean to or not, they're going to stiff you on the backside. Sometimes that's just a function of their life. Their life doesn't go well. They have all these things that pop up that they have to pay for. They're always in distress, and so the odds of getting it. And for us, once we're retained, unless the client fires us, we're not getting off the case. We're just going to eat it, so to speak. We're not going to just withdraw for non-payment. We're going to figure that was our mistake, and we should have known better than to do that. So, is it productive to drive around town picking up money or not? No, it's not. Are you somebody who's done this or doing it now? If you are, then one of the things you can do is simply figure your hourly rate. How much money you make, divide it by, just to keep it simple, divide it by 50 weeks, divide it by 40 hours, and if you gross, say, $200,000 or $300,000, just figure that rate, okay, and see if it's cost effective. The other thing is, and if you like it and it's exciting and it's interesting, and it's kind of like this, the movie The Lincoln Lawyer, where you're just out doing this kind of stuff. If you think it's fun and you want to keep doing it, just know that's not the way a good business runs. And also know that you can change it. And also know that if you're desperate for money, like I was for years, decades, desperate for money, you can change that. And you can change that by starting to take small steps, significant steps, to turn your solo law practice or your small law practice into a business. And you can start to, and you can't change it overnight, because these things, solving these problems, they're not complicated, but they're time consuming. And fixing something, sometimes you fix it and you think it's fixed, and it's not fixed, and it's still not fixed, and you're fixing and you're fixing it and you're fixing it. And then it's fixed up to the point to where you grow past where that system works anymore. But there are things you can do so you're not running around with your shirt tail out, hustling money, chasing money. Instead, you're somebody who has a stable business. You have a predictable marketing system, which brings in cases on a predictable level, so that you know how many cases you're going to get each year, you know how many cases you're going to get each month, and then you can plan based on revenue when you need to buy a new computer system, when you need to hire a new team member, when you need to do something. You're not paralyzed by fear because you don't know where the next dollar's coming from. So if you're out there hustling, just know that there's a better way. Just know that you have the power to change it, and you can do something about it. I'm living proof of that. So if you have questions or want to know more, go to prosperatlaw.com. We'll be happy to talk to you.
If you want to know more, go to prosperatlaw.com. We show criminal defense law firm owners how to reduce stress, have more free time, and make more money. Thanks for listening.